Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nastapраyesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 5, Verse 2, Chapter 3, titled The Status Quo, Chapter 5, titled Vidura Talks with Maitreya. Vidura Uvacha Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko Natai Sukham Vanyad Uparamanva Vindeta Bhuyas Tataeva Dukham Yata Tradukham Bhagavan Vadena. Shri Vidura Vacha Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko Natai Sukham Vanyat Uparamanva Vindeta Bhuyas Tataeva Dukham Yada Traduyuktam Bhagavan Vadena. Word by word synonym. Vidura Vacha. Vidura said, Sukhaya, for attaining happiness. Karmani, fruitive activities. Karoti, everyone does so. Loka, in this world. Na, never. Tai, by those activities. Sukham, any happiness. Va, or. Anya, differently. Uparaman, satiation. Va, either. Vindeta, achieves. Bhuya, on the contrary. Tata, by such activities. Eva, certainly. Dukkham, miseries. Yat, that which. Atra, under the circumstances. Yuktam, right quotes. Bhagavan, O Great One. Vadet, may kindly enlighten. Na, us. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura said, O sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us direction on how one should live for real happiness. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Vidura asked Maitreya some common questions, which was not originally his intention. Uddhava asked Vidura to approach Maitreya Muni and inquire into all the truths concerning the Lord. In his name, fame, qualities, form, pastimes, entourage, etc. And thus, when Vidura approached Maitreya, he should have asked only about the Lord. But out of natural humility, he did not immediately ask about the Lord, but inquired into a subject which would be of great importance to the common man. A common man cannot understand the Lord. He must first know the real position of his life under the influence of the illusory energy. In illusion, one thinks that he can be happy only by fruitive activities. But what actually happens is that one becomes more and more entangled in the network of action and reaction and does not find any solution to the problem of life. There is a nice song in this connection. Because of a great desire to have all happiness in life, I built this house. But unfortunately, the whole scheme has turned to ashes because the house was unexpectedly set on fire. The law of nature is like that. Everyone tries to become happy by planning in the material world. But the law of nature is so cruel that it sets fire to one's schemes. The fruitive worker is not happy in his schemes, nor is there any satiation of his continuous hankering for happiness. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kipa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So thank you everyone for joining in this wonderful auspicious Vasant Panchami day to discuss about this beautiful interaction. Basically, this is the first question Vidurji is asking to Maitreya Muni, and this is the second verse of this newly read chapter which we started yesterday. So here Vidurji is asking some very basic question. But in asking this question, if we think back sometime in the prior chapter, there was references to Uddhavji asking Vidurji to ask Maitreya Muni about the characteristics of the Lord, the form of the Lord, the fame of the Lord, qualities of the Lord, pastimes of the Lord, and how Lord comes with his entourage. But it is very curious for us to understand why Vidurji here asked a different question. Because Vidurji was supposed to talk about the Lord, but in this verse, the first question Vidurji is asking to Maitreya Muni is something else. Vidurji is asking, Vidura Uvacha is asking, everyone in this world is engaged in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satisfaction nor have a way to get rid of stress. On the contrary, they are only aggravated by such activities. So, Maitreya Muni, can you please answer what is the reason for that? So that's the question this verse is posing. And we are going to discuss deep into why Vidurji is not asking the right question he was supposed to ask in the first time, and then delve into the challenges, the material nature creates, impedances in our lives. So once Srila Prabhupada in Detroit was crossing the street, and he met a Christian father, and he was very happy to see Prabhupada in the robe in Detroit. And the first question he asked Prabhupada, what is the meaning of God? And Prabhupada said, God is the one and only one Supreme Personality who really controls this world. Then the father asked Prabhupada in Detroit, why human beings are so separate from the God? And Srila Prabhupada said, it's because they are full of sin. The human beings are full of sin. And because of the sin, they have a tendency to disobey the God. And they want to enjoy outside of the God. So when you think of separatist, actually the human beings like us who try to enjoy outside the purview of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are actually the biggest separatist. We have the separatist mentality to enjoy outside of the purview of God. And Srila Prabhupada went on to dwell onto how the impure senses makes the human being indulge in things which are not recommended. And eventually in his dialogue, he went from impure senses to misusing of the senses, and then eventually Prabhupada landed in the regulated life. And that really cleared a lot of question in the minds of the father. So when there are amazing souls, when they want to interact, in this example, there is a Christian father who is meeting Prabhupada. And here in this example, in the banks of Ganges in Haridwar, Vidurji is meeting Maitreya Muni. And when these souls who really are worried about the people in this world and how they're behaving, when they meet, they talk about the pains people are undergoing without the people knowing that they are undergoing this pain. And they are thinking they are having a wonderful life, but at the end of the day, they are having so much of pain. And these devotees of the Lord, whether His Divine Grace, Prabhupada, they have a sense of caring. And this caring is exemplified in the purport when Prabhupada writes that he was supposed to ask about Lord's opulences, the six opulences. But instead, he started asking about the common people. That means Vidurji is a Vaishnava who is Paradukya Dukhi. And he has no personal troubles, but he is very happy, very unhappy to see others in trouble. And he is taking that extra care in asking Maitreya Muni what he thinks about this. So, as in the purport, we read that there is a slight deviation. It shows that whenever we want to present ourselves, sometimes our inner self comes out if we are not trying to hide anything. And the Vaishnavas, their heart is like an open mirror. And whenever they meet another exalted personality, in this case Maitreya Muni, the first thing is how much painful they feel. And that's the reason why Vidurji asked Maitreya Muni this very specific question, a common problem. And the same caring theme also extends to Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, at the age of 69, 69 is a time when people retire, and they probably retire to go back to in the final days. And during that time, Srila Prabhupada was situated in Radha Damodar temple, and he could have just stayed there. At the age of 69, Srila Prabhupada's joints would be aching, and he was not having a great health. But he was very sad to see how people are interacting, and he sees the pain in the people. But people didn't feel the pain because they are engulfed in the illusory energy of the Lord or Maya. But Srila Prabhupada saw that element of discomfort, and because of sheer caring, he left the dham and came to this country to inaugurate or found International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So in this verse, you see that sense of caring in Vidurji. And then this verse also talks about how precarious condition we all are. And we will take an example from Mahabharata as to how much precarious condition we are. Once upon a time, there was a person who was in the forest, and he saw a tiger is chasing him. So when he got worried that the tiger is chasing him, so he ran, and tiger is following him. So when he's running, he fell from the edges of a cliff, and the tiger is chasing him, and the person fell from the cliff. So the person fell, tiger also fell. So when the tiger fell, and the person fell slightly ahead of him, the person splashed onto a beehive and then fell and somehow got entangled in the branch of a tree. So the situation is the person fell, he had an accident with the beehive while falling, and then held on to the branch of the tree, and he is just stuck. And below there is a huge, deep, river, and there is a crocodile who is in the river. So the situation here is the person and the person is holding onto the branch, and there he sees that there are two rats, one white rat and one black rat. They are basically eating the branches of the tree. So the situation is he fell down, he had an accident with the beehive also fell, and then there is this rats who are eating the branch of the tree from which he is suspended, and just below he is seeing a big crocodile waiting for this person to fall down so that the crocodile can eat him away. And the tiger which fell, he is slightly on an upper branch. So the tiger is there waiting for him to come down, and the rats are there, basically they're eating the branches, and when the branch is eaten, he is going to collapse. And the beehive also fell, and he also have bees which are really sort of eating his cheeks, and he's having pain. And at that time, a drop of honey falls from the beehive, and it falls on the tongue of this person. With so much of distress, with the tiger in there, with the bees biting him, with the rat eating the branch, and they can fall anytime, and the death lingering below with the crocodile waiting to eat him. When the little drop of honey fell down, he is so pleased. He is constantly thinking about that little honey which fell down. And he forgot all the pain he went through just 5 minutes back. And he's seeing that 5 minutes down the line, he is going to die with the crocodile going to eat him because he cannot stay there for long. But that little honey in his tongue is making him forget all the challenges he just faced. And that is exactly our situation. Our situation is so precarious. In this case, the tiger will get to the person anytime. So it's time. We all have certain amount of time to stay in this world, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. The tiger is chasing the person, and it's just a matter of time before this person is going to be eaten away by the tiger. And he is in a very distressed condition. And the black and white rats, they are relevant in the context of day and night in terms of how we are affected by the time of day and night, and how any of these branches might fall down. And the crocodile is symbolizes death here because he's waiting. And when the honey falls in pure illusory situation and engulfed in Maya, this person is only thinking about money, and which is exactly what Vidurji is inquiring about. So, and then there is these bees who are really biting, who are the three kind of sufferings we all go through. Adi Daivik, the floods, the sandies we all encounter. The Adi Bhautik, like the bee in this example, or mosquito. And Adhyatmik, the headache and the anxiety we get. With all this suffering, but the person is only focusing on that Maya. And that is where Vidurji is asking, with so much of plan, this person is eating the honey. He is not worried, but he knows that after the sweetness of honey goes away, he has to make room for his departure. Either he'll fall down, or the tiger will get to him, or the black and white rats, which indicate day and night in this context, is going to eat up the branch, and the branch is going to fall down. So there is so much of distress in this Mahabharata lesson but the person is never satisfied. And whenever the requirement of a person because of the lust gets satisfied, then it leads to greed in the form of getting more and more lusty. And when this lust is not satisfied, then the person becomes angry. So this lust, once satisfied, turns to greed, and lust, when dissatisfied, turns to anger. So he is in this cycle trying to seek satisfaction, as Vidurji is asking. He's trying to seek satisfaction, but he's not getting satisfaction anywhere. So this indicates how precarious condition we all are, but still, as painfully obvious, people are trying to seek little material pleasure in this, and that is where we need to understand what is seeking happiness, and does seeking happiness always leads to satisfaction, because that is a common theme in this verse. As to people are trying to seek satisfaction by seek happiness, and eventually, as this verse proclaims, are people satisfied? So once upon a time, there was a sadhu. He was very unhappy in his family life. He leaves home to do sadhana and become a sadhu, and then after getting some spiritual prowess, he initiates disciples, and the disciples go out to preach and bring donations such as rice and flour. And then once they put all this rice and flour, the flour attracts mice, and in order to take care of the mice, they want to get a cat to drive the mice away. So in this situation, so they're trying to constantly innovate in trying to get happiness. One person is unhappy, he ran away, he became a sadhu, he initiates disciples. Disciples go out, do preaching, and they get donations, get flour, which attracts mice. In order to take care of the mice, they look for a cat which can drive the mice away. And the sages spent several hours to maintain the mice by getting milk. And later he realized that he's spending a lot of time getting milk for the cat. Then instead of really wasting so much of time when he's not able to do sadhana, they decide to domesticate a cow so that milk is right there. And once they want to domesticate a cow, who is going to maintain? There is so much of cow dung. Somebody needs to bathe the cow, somebody needs to milk the cow. And for maintaining the cow, the disciple suggested the sadhu, why don't you get married? You find somebody, and when she arrives, your would-be wife, she is going to take care of the cow, which will take care of the cat through giving milk, and that will take care of the mice, and then the sadhu was married in the first place. He left everything, and eventually he has come full circle, seeking happiness by doing steps by steps, and then eventually he's back to the same place. So Bidurji, when he's asking that in constant craving for happiness, one does so many things, but eventually the person is not satisfied. There is no mitigation of distress, because the circle of this seeking something, improvising something, is so convoluted that eventually you're back to same place. As we saw in this example of sadhu, he left the house because he was not happy with his family life, but eventually he is back to the same situation. So it's very important for all of us to recognize that seeking happiness, having the separatist mentality, you find so many terrorist organizations who are separatist, right? We are actually the biggest separatist in our mind, seeking happiness away from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we try to seek happiness, eventually, as Vidurji is saying, the person is never satisfied. And this takes us to the next segue as to this wonderful pastime of the Lord. And this signifies how insignificant we all are. And this clearly should pave the way for us to understand, in order to really get out of this vicious circle, we have to think differently. We have to think regulated. We have to, increase our higher taste. So this is a classic pastime of the churning of the milk ocean. And so when this milk oceans, in the milk ocean, they wanted to churn the demons and the demigods, they got together. So Vishnu ji, he asked all the people who want to get Amrit, the nectar, to go and get this Mandar mountain from a far off place, and so that they can place the Mandar mountain in the milk ocean, and then they can churn. So they went, and the Mandar mountain was so heavy, they couldn't really lift it. They tried to lift it, somebody's, and it fell down. As some of these Asuras and Devatas, they broke their hand. They were just helpless. So Vishnu went with Garuda and, got the Mandar mountain and placed it in milk ocean. So Vishnuji gets the milk ocean. So, and then Vasuki came, and he was used as a rope to churn. And once they started churning, because of the soft soil of the ocean, the mountain went down and it was shaky. So in order to give some good foundation of this Mandar mountain on the milk ocean, Lord came as Kurma avatar. And you all have heard about this magnificent pastime where Lord came as a tortoise whose backs are heavy, so that when this flat backs support the mountain, and when the churning happens, it won't shake. So Vishnu first got the mountain here, then he started shaking. And then Lord came as Kurmavatar to put it afloat. And then when they were shaking, Vasuki felt very tired. He was very, agitated, and Lord impregnated the mode of ignorance in him. And when you impregnate that mode of ignorance, like the people you see, they are drunkards, they don't know what is happening. So when Lord impregnates that sense of ignorance, the mode of ignorance, Vasuki was fine. And then the mountain started shaking. So when mountain started shaking, then Vishnu came in his 1000th form, as you can see right in the top, be in the top of the mountain so that the mountain doesn't shake. And then when they were, churning, Lord impregnates mode of goodness in the Devatas and the passion in the Rakshasas, but still they were not able to do it. So Vishnu, as Ajita, as you can see in the left side of this picture, he came to help them churn. And then finally, when the time of nectar came, Mohini, Vishnu in the form of Mohini, came to distribute. So here you see Vishnu lifted Mandar mountain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kurma avatar stayed afloat to support the Mandar mountain, and in order to not shake this up, he was right there with 1000 hand forms on the top of the mountain. And as Ajita, he was also helping in churning, and he impregnates all these three modes to Vasuki, Devatas, and the demons. And finally, when the time for distribution came, Lord came as Mohini to distribute. So without the Supreme Personality of Godhead, every step of our action is impossible. And how insignificant we are. Here Devatas and Rakshasas, who are so prominent, who are so powerful, they couldn't do anything, not a single thing, without the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this shows how insignificant we are. And this should make all of us recognize that we cannot do anything without the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is so like when a leaf is in the tree, when the leaf is in the leaf has the identity. When the leaf is detached from the tree, there is no identity of the leaf. So I still have something, but I'll stop here. Uh, so going back to this wonderful verse where Vidurji, with so much of humility and caring, is asking for the common people. He didn't ask about the supreme, but he is asking about the common people. And when from these two, you know, interactions we discussed, we realize that how insignificant we are and why we should be caring. And this insignificance of us should lead us to humility in our life. And this is an example how the person is seeking happiness in this material world. So the situation is very precarious, but we have hope in this age of Kali. And this verse exemplifies the essence of caring, humility, and how we should seek happiness without the material injunctions, without being a separatist in our life. So, with that, I'd like to end here. Uh, I had something, but I will keep that for some other time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.